ain't no stopping us. Fly without boarding pass. Couldn't catch me, I'll be moving fast. Call me a shooting star. Let 'em know who you are. Flying up in a bar. Wish on a star. Time to show 'em who's in charge. Call me a shooting star. Didn't even get to cross. I said I'm moving too far. Get to glass. Looking at a shooting star. Got more than a couple of people going mad. I swear they're rooting hard. Tell them I be big in the game like she went and got them breast implants. I said I'm moving too fast. Didn't even get a glance. I'm ready to eat up track like I'm seated in a restaurant. If you had swag like mine, you know it's best to flaunt. We aren't hating because you want. Shining like it's neon. Rock like kings like Leon. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, they might just have to leave. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, they might just have to leave. Yeah, shoot, 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 shoot. Yeah, shoot, shoot. Yeah, shooting, shooting, shooting. Yeah, shooting, shot. Shooting stars, shooting stars, shooting stars, shooting stars. Didn't even get to cross.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.
What's happening, people? Welcome to Tottenham Away. It's Friday. It's myself. It's Matthew. It's our preview show. And I thought kind of last week, all right, next Friday, got a last show. Just going to do it with Matt. Should be pretty straightforward. Let's discuss Sheffield United versus Spurs. But no, Tottenham, the gift that keeps on giving. What a week it's been, Matt. I mean, you couldn't write this. We can write it. We're used to it. But my God, man, it just never ends. It was, you know what, Matt? I'm going to say it now. I can't wait for this season to end, man. I genuinely cannot wait for this to just end. And I know in 2-3 weeks' time, we'll be saying I'm bored now. Oh, this is boring. But at least we've got the Euros, some international football to get excited with. But, mate, this season, how you been, Matt? How you feeling? It's just drama, FC.
Yeah, I think we live in a Jerry Springer world where there has to be this pantomime, good guy, good cop, bad cop. And I think Ange, obviously, a poor run of results, some poor performances as well. And then this anomaly. You know, we've got a football match against Man City. There's double jeopardy. Arsenal are in the wings. So it's got all these kind of scenarios. And it's the analogy I was thinking of is it's like your missus, either your best mate or your brother is going to take your missus. Which one do you want? You know, it's like there's no good like conclusion to this, because obviously you don't want Arsenal to win the league, but you also don't want Tottenham to lose a football match. So it's kind of like no matter what happens, it's not ideal. So then the press conference, then the bust up on the touchline, and so on and so on. So yeah, it was unfortunate, but luckily after Sunday we pause.
Thank God. Do you know, Matt, I haven't enjoyed this season. I haven't. I found a lot of things just to be very... YouTube's getting more stupid. The podcasting is getting more stupid. I'm talking about the community. The team hasn't really progressed, in my opinion. We'll get into that. I haven't really enjoyed the football. I went to the under-21s last night. That pissed me off. We got absolutely battered by Fulham. I'm telling you, it could have been more. That was disappointing. What a cup final that was. The women got battered in their cup final. I look at this season, I'm like, what was there really that I enjoyed? Maybe one or two games where I thought, oh, that was fun. But overall, it's just been pretty Spursy again. And yeah, Matt, I haven't enjoyed it. Have you enjoyed it this season? Have you?
Yeah, I'm a half full type of guy. So if you give me, I'm probably not gonna be the popular voice here.
Are you going to tell me that you're easily pleased? Is that what you're going to tell me?
No, I wouldn't say so. That there's still a lot of work to do. There's still a lot of work to be done. But I like big parts of Ange. You know, I like the possession-based football that he tries to implement. I like how he's introduced Adoji, Van der Ven. He's playing front foot football, even though some of the results and performances haven't suggested that. So I am, I've enjoyed it on the whole. A season, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. We've had some severe punches on the nose recently. You got to take the rough with the smooth. And I remember the Arsenal away. I was proud to watch Tottenham play that day.
Yeah, but as a season, Matt, have you enjoyed this season?
I have.
You have. Fair enough.
On a whole, I would say I've enjoyed the season. Obviously, the last 2 to 3 months have been not so good, but I'm measuring it with pretty low expectations going into the season. Harry Kane being sold 3 days before the season starts. That atmosphere that we had in that first 10 games, I thought that was special. Now, yes, it's a 38-game season, but if we can address all the pain points that he's got, or most of the pain points that he's got, pick up a few more players, get rid of a few more players in the summer. Yeah, I'm optimistic still.
I never asked how you were feeling about next season. I'm asking you how you felt this season. Like, you know, for me, the first 10 games, I'm like, okay, this is interesting. This is exciting. And then injury crisis, suspension crisis, football going to pot, losing ridiculous amounts of games. Every away game I went to this year, all 5, we lost. Women's Cup final lost. And the 21s final, we lost. And then the one game where I thought all fans would unite and want to stop Arsenal from the league, it caused an absolute stir. It divided us more than it brought us together. And I'm like, do you know what? End the season. Just end this season and let's just go again next year because, man, it's been too much drama, no success, nothing really for me to say, yeah, do you know what? This was really an upgrade on last season. I think it was different to last season, but I don't think it's an upgrade.
Firstly, which hasn't happened in a long time, we've got a manager that's going to go into next season. We haven't had that for quite a while. We've got a manager that has seen out a full season.
What a goal!
You know,
what
let's
a
get
goal
this
we've
right,
got in
Stel.
life.
We've got
what a goal!
Honestly, we've got a manager that has now hopefully written a school report for every individual. And he's now going to implement some of those could do better, must do betters in the summer and ship a few out. Still, look, ultimately, he came in on, what's the code? How do you say this? Third or fourth choice? Was he fourth choice, third choice? Arne Slot, Nagelsmann. You know, he came in kind of in.
It's not my problem.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is he's now a season in. He has got a lot of things to fix. A guy that's been managing for 27, 28 years, I'm intrigued to see how he fixes those problems.
Yeah, so not talking specifically about Ange, because next week I'm actually going to do a review on Ange. I'm going to do a coaching review.
Okay.
Not an investment banker's review. I'm going to do a coaching review on Ange. And I think you might be pleasantly surprised with what I'm going to present. But just as a season as a whole, I've not enjoyed it. I haven't enjoyed the atmosphere at the stadium. I haven't enjoyed, I'd say, 60, 70% of the games I've been to. They've not been good to watch. I haven't enjoyed the way we've crashed out of cups, the youth crashing out of cups, the women getting back in the final. As a season whole, I don't look at it and say, do you know what? I really, really enjoyed that. It's pretty sad that my biggest enjoyment is that we might have stopped Arsenal winning the league. That's a pretty low level to be, coming from, but it's my reality.
Yeah, look, Stoke, we were in a mess. So let's get it right. We had two managers, high-profile managers, pretty much set the place on fire.
Yeah, but one got to a cup final, which excited me, and the other got top four, which really excited me. This season has not excited me, Matt.
Did Jose that season? Did that excite you?
I really, really was looking forward to that cup final. I made a big effort as well. We went down to Wembley when half the stadium was empty because of COVID. I think Ben and Sim from Tottenham TV, they hired out a little area in a pub near Wembley. We all went down there, the YouTubers. I was excited. And I think if Jose was maybe in charge of that final, I mean, there's no guarantees, but as soon as Ryan Mason was put in charge, that killed my season, Matt. But Jose got us there.
Stel, you had a better chance of winning that final than Ryan Mason. Do you know what I mean? Let's get that right. Let's get that right.
You're right. You're right.
You had a better chance. I just think we were in a mess. Though we were in a mess. There was somebody actually done a screenshot of a telephone number saying, like these crank calls or these kind of scammers. And it was basically saying, you may receive this telephone call on your phone. Do not answer. It's Daniel Levy offering you the job at Tottenham. That's how much we were getting pranked. That's how much we were getting absolutely ripped apart in social media. So we were on the floor for me, Stel.
We're getting ripped apart now, Matt. We're being told we're losers. We've got a losing mentality. This is what I mean. I feel this season is last season, but repackaged. It's just packaged differently. It's the same kind of shitty ending. Same BS. The only difference is, I agree with you, Matt. The fact we've kept the same manager gives us a bit of hope that some continuity might come next year. That I give you. That I agree. I can't argue that. You're right on that.
For me, look, had we have continued in a similar trajectory, I'm not saying first 10 games, win 8 and draw 2. I'm not saying in that pattern, but had we been fairly, never been out the top 4 and whatever else, it might have papered over some of the cracks that we all know exist in that Tottenham squad. So in order to change style, it has to be quite drastic. And he's trying to make some drastic changes to mindset, style of play, and kind of like belief. And you're going to get some people on the journey style that are just not going to buy into it. And they're going to drag a few people back along the way. So we're in this kind of halfway house at the moment where some players are probably thinking, I'm not here next season. And once that starts to creep in, go on.
No, I'm listening.
Once that starts to creep in the squad style, and the one or two players start saying, not sure about the gaffer, and they start to recruit a few people in that kind of not sure about the gaffer brigade, and they just come off the pedal, 90%, start to just perform at 92%, not at 100%, that spreads. And there's no kind of person that can look at Tottenham since really January onwards. There's players still that have been playing within themselves. They're not playing the way that they were playing at the start of the season. They're uncertain. There's a dip in confidence. There's a dip in form. There's so many things that's caused, in my opinion, this inconsistent lack of cohesion and poor results. Also, teams have got wise to us as well. So there's that as well. Teams have started to counteract what we're trying to do.
I'll tell you what. Let's get into it, because I just wanted to see how you felt about this season. But we're gonna go into Ange anyway, because there's a few things I wanted to chat today about. Got a super chat from D-Boy. Thank you, D-Boy. He says, Brennan Rodgers just won the Scottish League, and we all saw how he struggled in the league. So just how big of an achievement is it in European football? I think the comparisons between Brennan Johnson and Ange are fair, although Brennan Johnson had a lot more time in the Premier League. Ange only had a year. So let's judge Ange in a couple of years and make that comparison, D-Boy, would be my say. Guys, there's 200 odd people in the chat. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, smash the notification bell. Appreciate you all for being here. Welcome. I want to start, Matt, on this topic, win or lose. So this has been the big controversy of the week. Media have jumped in on it. Rival fans have jumped in on it. Our fan base is divided on it. For me, this is my view on it. I've had a couple of days to sleep on it now. This is my view on it. I think we've had our pants pulled down by the media. I think the media have done an absolute number on us. Let's go back to the fixtures. They knew what they were doing when they put that Man City game 5 days before the last game of the season. They knew the whole world would be watching this game because this could decide the league title, especially after Arsenal got that result at Man United, right? That Arsenal win at Man United just inflated our game tenfold. Now, this is the moment City choke and Arsenal win the league, or this is the moment Spurs bend over and give Man City a run into the title. And we were basically used as a pawn to hype up the likes, the subscribes, the views for the media and the journalists. The narrative was, will Spurs bend over? Will Spurs turn up? And then all the YouTube shows, the podcast, the phone calls into Sky Sports and TalkSport. I don't want to win. I want to throw the game away. I don't care if my missus leaves me if she's a gooner. Then you had the rival opposition. Well, that's a losing mentality. Why would you want your team to lose? And it got blown up and blown up and blown up to the point where it came to game day and we didn't know what to do. So we've gone to the game. It's all been built up. Fans are kind of beginning to have that division. And as I was around the ground, there was no singing. There was no usual chanting in the South Stand goal line bar area. In the terraces, there wasn't the usual atmosphere hype. It's almost like nobody knew what to do. I felt scared to show my true colours in case someone called me out. And I think the opposing view was too scared to cheer on the team in case they got called out by fans saying, why do you want Arsenal to win the league? So what happened was we were in this cauldron of, we're not backing the team, but we're not against the team. So there's moments where we cheered them on. There's other teams where just don't say anything. And the weirdest thing of all was when City scored and the whole stadium, oh, you watching? Oh, you watching? Oh, you watching Arsenal? And some fans were shaking their head in disbelief. A couple of fans were doing the Poznan. Andrew was shouting at fans, giving them abuse behind the dugout. And it just blew up. It just got silly. Arsenal fans were getting ejected that bought tickets that other Spurs fans sold to them. Sacrilege, can I say? That is sacrilege. If you're not going to go, don't go. Don't sell it to a gooner. I mean, freaking hell. And then after the game, obviously, Ange's press conference, problems inside the club, outside the club, everywhere. It's fragile. That was left as a very open-ended statement. Like, what does he mean by that? Because now we're shitting ourselves. We're thinking, this is Mourinho again. This is Conte again. And Matt, like, the whole thing was a media dream. The journalists were probing. And then what I found really interesting was different sections of the media were disagreeing as well. Some were saying, yeah, but they're Spurs fans. What do you want them to think? What if the roles were reversed? Then other sections of the media were saying, no. That's the losing mentality. Andrew's got every right. Look, Matt, it was just a clusterfuck. The whole thing was a mess.
Yeah.
For me, and this is what I want to ask you, what you think. I'm describing what I saw, right? For me, I did not want to beat Man City. I didn't. I'm allowed to have that opinion. I'm allowed to have that view. I've supported the club for 45 years. 99.99999% of my time as a Spurs fan, I've always wanted us to win. Even if I don't like the manager, the players, the chairman, I've always wanted us to win. This is the first time ever, 0.001% of my supporting Spurs life, I didn't want to win. If I'm going to be judged on that tiny percentile and the overwhelming percentage of my Spurs life, I'm not going to be judged on. That's just going to be dismissed. I don't care what anybody thinks. I know where I'm at with it, and I'm at peace with it. But there's no way I wanted to live with 20 years of banter and abuse and just non-stop shithousery from Gooners that we're the reason they won the league. And you know exactly that's how it would have played out. So for that reason only, plus we had nothing to play for. For me, top four, I don't care. I don't think we can win the Champions League. I'm not even bothered by the extra money we get from it. I don't think it's going to change a damn thing. But I accepted that we needed to lose this game, and I don't change my stance on it. But I get why there's a division on it. I get it. And I appreciate everyone's view on it, by the way. But I don't appreciate people that have a go at me for having my view. Those people I have a go at back. So where are you at with it, Max? It's quite a fair bit.
Yeah. Look, I think it's fans are tribal. You know, there is the most reserved kind of innocent looking people I've seen when it comes to football lose all rationale. You know, male and female, by the way, lose all rationale. So it's such a tribal sport. It's such a emotional, invested thing that I think people are allowed to have their point of view. I'm quite, in time you've known me, I'm quite balanced. So I sympathise with the points of view. I understand the fan that wants his team to win no matter what. I understand that. You know, I understand the fan that says, but look at the bigger picture. There's one game to go. It is less than likely that we're going to, even if we win the game, by the way, we've still got to go to Sheffield United. And how many times have Tottenham, when on the cusp of something big, and chuck it away? So I sympathise with every point of view, and I don't like to get into you're wrong and I'm right. You know, I'm wrong and you're right. I just think people should just allow. We've all got one common goal. We're all Tottenham fans and we all love the club. So this will all blow over. thankfully, the season finishes on Sunday. This will all blow over and somebody else will hog the limelight in a matter of days. But at the moment, the media circus has kind of lassoed itself to Tottenham, and we've given them enough ammunition to kind of market us, you know, and obviously add on top of that, Postecoglou's kind of confrontation with the fan while the match is going on. So his halo slipped a little bit to some people in the last week or so. You know, some people are saying, how dare he question, you know, the Tottenham fans? He doesn't get it. This is typically the reason that, you know, we shouldn't have had him as a manager. He doesn't get it. And if you look at his press conference today, he's kind of said, look, I didn't get it. You know, I didn't get the true emotions of the fans. So how many times have people said something in the heat of the moment and then you get in your car and you think, shit, why did I say that?
The thing is, Matt, the thing is, right, there's so many ways you could look at it. If from an investment banking, finance, money perspective, you want top four because more money ideally means more investment on players, okay? Does that necessarily mean we're going to invest the money wisely? Well, I haven't seen one window where we've spent smartly. I haven't, not yet. I thought last year might have been that, but it looks like it wasn't. Then you've got the football fan who lives in North London. And for us, it's absolute murder to live with Arsenal fans with this hanging over us for God knows how many more years. Then you've got the international fan who supports Tottenham and loves Tottenham just as much as you and I, but they don't live here. They don't experience this. They never went to school with this shit. They never went to college with this shit. They never worked with this shit. We do, right? So they don't quite get it, in my view. Doesn't mean they don't support Spurs. Then you've got the neutral that will say loser mentality. Then you've got the professional like Ange and the players. You always play to win, right? They must go out there. They get paid to do a job. So they've got to do their job. And to be fair, they did a good job. They gave it a go. We actually did quite well on the day. So it depends what angle you come from. My angle is simple. I was born in North London. I went to school in North London. I went to college in North London, or sixth form. And I work in North London. So I'm North London through and through. I know exactly what it means if we were to give Arsenal the title. I know exactly what it means, especially when we blew the chance to beat them at our ground because we refused to change tactics. And then City come along. Oh, now we're going to change tactics. Now we're going to stop zonal marking. It was like infuriating. So it depends where you come from. And where I come from, I can't relate to the investment banker on this one. I can't relate to the overseas fan on this one. Although I say overseas fan, people like Mari, he's overseas. He wanted us to lose as well. So I'm being a bit disingenuous to all overseas fans. But I think more overseas fans than not were kind of, no, we should win. Losing mentality, blah, blah, blah. And then it's so many different ways you come at it. But I think it all depends where you're positioned, Matt. Is that a fair comment to make? It really does depend on where you're situated.
Look, every fan has their point of view. You know, whether you live... Now, I grew up in Edmonton. Which, you know, is walking distance, Lyndhurst Road. You know, my two sisters are season ticket holders at Arsenal. My nephew is the most annoying Arsenal fan in the galaxy. If he wasn't blood, if he wasn't blood, I'd you know, I'd have chinned him by now. But so I get it. I get the rivalry. I get the passion. But I think people are allowed to have their point of view. What I don't like, as I say, is people questioning another fan for you're not a true Tottenham fan if you want your team to lose or whatever else. Because a relevant question would have been, why hasn't this scrutiny been when we played Newcastle away? Why wasn't that questioned? Why wasn't the professionalism of the players? Why wasn't the scrutiny when we played Fulham away? You know, why all of a sudden has this been microwave packaged into this one game where Tottenham are going to be questioned on their like ability to win this football match, ability to be professional in this one football match? But Arsenal at home, Liverpool away, and Chelsea at home and away. Oh, that's I just find that a little bit of double standards. Tottenham are not in form, and at this moment in time, Man City are in form and the better team. So we actually, in my opinion, outperformed our recent performances in that game. We actually showed a glimmer of what we were doing in the first 10 games.
Yeah. Just to all the Arsenal fans in the chat with their bitterness and their saltiness, I'd just like to play a quick, short video for all you wonderful Arsenal fans tuning in today. This goes out to you.
Can't do it.
You can.
Can't.
You can do it. You can. You can.
There you go. That's exactly how you were when you turned up in our stadium wearing white shirts supporting Spurs. Embarrassing. I would never go to the Emirates wearing red supporting Arsenal. I don't care if the title's on the line. That's never happening. But they were doing it on Tuesday night. Sums them up. The desperation is real. So are your tears. Enjoy, Arsenal fans. Matt, that said, okay, so we were conflicted over winning or losing. The game itself, Spurs v Man City. What did you make of the tactics, the change, the players that were selected and players not selected? Why now? Of all the games, Matt, why now? We're getting battered at Fulham, battered by Wolves twice, battered by Liverpool, battered by Arsenal, struggling against Brighton away. Why now? Don't you think that just made it worse? I thought that made the situation worse. It's like, oh my God, now you're going to actually change tactics? Are you kidding me? Oh my God, man.
Yeah, look, I think it was, there was that frustration that there was ample opportunity to introduce Dragusin into football matches, and I found that a little bit strange that Dragusin had so few minutes for Tottenham since he joined. I've never understood that Emerson Royal been selected. People say, oh, well, he was helping us out as centre half, but he's a right back. He's not even a right back. He's just a poor footballer. So wherever you play him in the team, we're at a deficit. He struggles to control the ball. He struggles to pass the ball in one or two touches. He is one of the most on-Ange profile footballer you could get. If you had to download a footballer that cannot play the Ange football, he's one of them. To play Ange football, you have to be comfortable on the ball. You have to be able to trust yourself on the ball, and you have to move the ball quickly in one or two touches. That is the absolute polar opposite to Emerson. He's fighting to control the ball. I used an analogy about a year ago. It's like you got a two-year-old or three-year-old kid, and you go into the garden and you chuck them a ball, and it's the first time with the ball, and they struggle to catch it, to kick it. If you watch Emerson Royal, he absolutely struggles to pass the ball. It's literally, he has to freeze to control it. Then he has to freeze again to pass it. He doesn't do it in one. It's astounding how he's been a professional footballer. Astounding. I just, for the life of me, where you do this full time every day, he struggles to pass the ball. It's remarkable.
Yeah, there's a few players that can't play the system, and I've questioned why they're given game time. But I think when I do my show next week, the coaching review on Ange, I'll explain why he's done it. I think I've kind of get where he's going with it. Well, look, we could have got something out of the game. I mean, there was that big moment which had all of us gasping for breath. If you wanted Spurs to win, this was the moment. If you wanted us to not win, you were absolutely bricking it. But look, I've watched it back a few times. I don't think he did it on purpose. At first, I thought he did it on purpose, but now I've watched it back a few times. His body shape, the way he ran in on the ball. I just think he's out of form. And also, I've got to say, the goalie spread himself pretty well. In fact, he did quite well when he came on. I thought when Ederson went off, I thought, oh, that's an important player that's gone off injured for them. But he actually did really well. Their number 2 goalie is not... in fact, that's an excellent number 2 goalie, if I think about it. I thought it was a really good save, and maybe a more informed Son might have buried it, Matt. Is that fair to say? I don't think it was done on purpose.
Yeah, look, he looks like he's run his race for me. Son looks like, he just needs to put the foil, at the end of a marathon, and you've just run your race and you're done. He just looks like you need to put the blanket on him and give him, Lucozade or a Snickers bar and say, come and sit down. He looks done. He doesn't have a gallop in him. He doesn't look has any belief in his acceleration. He just looks spent. I'm not subscribing to he's finished. I think that's just a lazy expression. I just think he's 31, nearly 32. He's played non-stop football for the last decade. His exploits for Korea, he's run his race. He just needs, if there's ever a player that needs a break, as in a rest, end of season, it should be Son. But I guarantee you, we go to Australia and he'll start the game. Guarantee you.
Yeah, it's big money, isn't it? It's marketing. So I think it's only right that he does. But look, I thought 2-0 was a bit unfair on us. 1-0 would have been about right. But did City deserve to win it, Matt? I mean, to be fair, the penalty we gave away was shocking. Porro completely got done by Doku just on pace. It was a penalty, but
yeah,
was it fair to lose the game?
I think chances. I think first half they had, in my opinion, obviously one was self-inflicted with the Højbjerg. I'm not sure what he was trying to do there with that left foot clearance that he basically sliced back into the air for Foden. I think if you look at Vicario's saves and you look at Ederson's saves, they had the better looks at our goal. But goals change football matches. And when we had players like Kane and Son, they used to be the game changers in those type of games, because under Jose and Nuno and Conte, we would soak up pressure, we would pick their pockets, and we had such high conversion strikers in Kane and Son that we'd probably only need 3 shots at goal and score 2 and win the match. We don't have that level of kind of striker at the moment. So the chances we get are wasted. So that impounds the problem even more. So, as I've said to you before, if we improve in that forward department, those 2-0s become 2-1s to us. Because when we score, when we get those chances, goals change football matches. And we don't have players that can score goals.
Look, it ended 2-0. And there is something I do want to bring up, because it's another 2 goals conceded. And Matt, what do you make of this? Because it is, we can't just ignore it, okay? Ange, beg your pardon, he's got the worst defensive record of any Spurs manager over 38 completed games. Sorry, guys. 2 clean sheets in 27 games, 12 defeats, 1 away win in 2024, out of both cups in the first and second round, naive on how to defend set pieces. Over the last 27 games, he would have had us 11th in the table. Since the 1st of January this year, our form would have had us 16th in the league table. Matt, this is pretty shocking, if we're going to be really honest about it. And as much as you say, if we fix the front line, goals win games, that defensive record this is a fact. This isn't, we're not making up the data. This is factual. He is the worst manager we've had over 38 games defensively.
I agree. And what can't speak can't lie. So that's a a stat. That's a fact. So,
Yeah.
And personally, I think we've been exposed. We've left gaping holes in our midfield. We've left players 1v1 when we've got the ball. We don't look like we are in sync off the ball. So when we are trying to attack and the ball breaks down, 1 or 2 passes and the team have got a shot at our goal, which in professional football is a big no-no. So there's a lot of problems in Tottenham at the moment. But to counteract that, if you get that matrix guy in the middle of the park, the guy that conducts, the guy that orchestrates that midfield, the guy that pulls people in, that guy that says to the centre half, where do you need me? 5 or 10 yards in front of me. That shores up the first part of Tottenham's problem. Also, when we're in the ascendancy and we're camped in their half, he's the guy that drives people on to say, put this game to bed. We don't have that player, that linchpin guy that says, listen, when we're on top, put this game to bed. So there's the second problem. The third problem is we don't have prolific attackers. So when we are having 62, 65% of the possession, we're not converting that possession into.
But that none of that prevents the 16 goals we've scored from set pieces in the last 25 odd games. None of that.
I agree. And that's naivety by Ange. That's naivety. And you only have to look at the game against Man City. It changed overnight. The organisation.
Actually, that brings me on to the next point, because I think something helped in that game. And we kind of spoke about it the other day. I want to talk about one good and one bad regarding players. Dragusin. Okay. Now, he came in centre-back. Van der Ven went left-back. Something that we as fans have been saying on YouTube and podcasts. We wouldn't mind seeing that. We think that's a better solution than Chicken Royale and Skip and all this nonsense. Now, he bullied Haaland, strength-wise, and that is no mean feat. He bullied him. Haaland still got 2 goals. One was a tap-in. I guess there's very little we could do in terms of individual 1v1 in that moment. Haaland was just there to tap it in. Could we have man-marked him better? Probably. Is that Dragusin's fault? A bit harsh. The penalty, Dragusin can't stop the penalty because it's Porro that brought him down. But Dragusin actually looked quite good as a defender. I felt his passing wasn't quite there. That's something he needs to work on. If he's going to play Ange ball, in fact, that might be why Ange hasn't played him as much, because his actual ability to pass, it's not bad. There's some good passing from him. But there's also some moments I thought, you need to tidy that up. You're not quite at that, 1-2 touch, quick play. That's something he's got to improve. But as a defender, a physical presence in the air, on the ground, muscular, winning tackles, blocking. Yeah, he looked good in this game. It's hard to disagree that Dragusin doesn't look like a potentially good signing for us. Again, we need to see more. 1 or 2 games isn't enough, because against Fulham he had a shocker. But what did you think of Dragusin? I thought he was probably one of the bright sparks for us on the day.
He's actually, if you look at Van der Ven's a front foot defender. Yeah, he anticipates the pass. He gets in front of his centre forward. He harries his centre forward. He puts his centre forward under pressure. Romero, similar. The front foot. Before the guy looks like he's going to pass it, he wants to get in and manhandle and dispossess them. Dragusin's actually, firstly, he's physically superior to Van der Ven and Romero. Just physically, you just look at him. He's just a unit of a guy. So he backs himself on a 1v1 in a physicality fight. Number 2, he actually takes less chances than Van der Ven or Romero. Because Romero and Van der Ven are quick, efficient defenders. They win more of their duels in anticipation. And once they get side by side or shoulder to shoulder, they normally come out on top. What Dragerson does is he's a little bit more composed, and he almost allows the centre forward to get the ball, stays on his feet a little bit longer, then deals with the cross or the shot. So he, in my opinion, stays in his position a lot more than Romero and Van der Ven. They see ball, they attack the ball. They want to attack space, they want to go in. He's a lot more disciplined in his position. So in a three, perfect. He's perfect in a three because he's the guy that will say, I'll stay at home and look after the house. Van der Ven and Romero, they'll go and seek and destroy. But he'll stay there and defend. So I watched that game and I thought, in certain games and in certain formations, a three at the back would be perfect for Spurs. Perfect. We've got the perfect three to play three at the back.
The players we've got at the moment, yeah. I'm not sure if he'll go down that road, but at least the option's there. If he wants to tactically be more flexible next season, he might even be a bit more flexible the next game. I mean, Sheffield United, we have to win that game, obviously. Well, draw. As long as we draw, we get fifth. Just don't lose. I don't think we will lose. We'll get into it. We'll get into the Sheffield United game shortly. But yeah, he has got the options and he should use them. Because there are moments, Matt, where we should set up slightly different tactically, depending on how the game goes and what our opposition is, what they're offering on match day.
He is what you called an old-fashioned centre-half, Yeah. He does his job. There's no frills. There's, sometimes you watch Van der Ven, you go, wow. You see Romero go into a blood and thunder tackle. He's not that. He's a head and kick it centre-half. He stays on his feet. He hurries you away from the ball standing up, and he's 6'3" and built like an oak tree. Very impressed with that. For 21 million, I think that's a great signing.
Yeah, for the price, we can't argue. The one player that I'm going to get pelts for this, but I'm beyond caring, mate. Brennan Johnson again. I'm Matt. I'm fed up with the excuses, right? Let me share some data. Right. So here's my updated spreadsheet. So Brennan Johnson now, after 19 games against the top half teams, some of these he missed, but 3 goals, 2 assists. So 5 GA over 19 games is basically a 25% return. He has gone missing 75% of the big games. And these are the teams we need to beat. The West Hams, the Newcastles, the Uniteds, the Cities, the Liverpools, the Chelseas, the Villas, the Brightons, the Arsenals. These are the teams we need to beat to win a title. These are the teams you're most likely going to play in semi-finals and finals of cups. I don't care about Nottingham Forest, Luton, Burnley, right? Anyone. Richarlison has got a fantastic record against that lot. That sums it up. But this top half, 2 assists. And then, if I look at big chances missed, he's the worst in the club. 16. That is shocking. Shot conversion rate, he's the second worst after Werner. So when I look at goals against the top teams, poor. Assists, poor. Shot conversion, poor. Big miss, poor. Sell it to me, Matt. Sell me this player that we've spent £50 million on, because there's nothing there that sells this guy. All I ever hear is, he's got a 16 GA. Oh, brilliant. He turned up against Nottingham Forest and Crystal Palace and Luton Town and Wrexham and Rotherham and Blackpool and Bristol Rovers. Brilliant. What a sign. We need players that can deliver at the top end. Players that aren't going to just offer nothing against Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Newcastle, Man City. I stick to what I said at the start of the season, and I stick to what I said on We Are Tottenham TV. I think Brennan Johnson is a waste of money For £50 million, we could have done so much better. I really believe that. He'll get next season. Everyone's going to say be patient. I don't see it.
Okay, Brennan Johnson. I think he is short of confidence. He looks limited in his skill set at the moment. I don't think it's any coincidence that defenders that have been questioned at defending have defended well against him. So Cucurella, if you speak to Chelsea fans, has been appalling for Chelsea as a defender. And he pocketed Brennan Johnson.
Maybe that's because it's easy to pocket a player like Brennan Johnson.
Okay. Arnold, the one criticism of Trent Arnold is he can't defend. But after about 5 minutes of marking Brennan Johnson, he became assured. He became confident. And it was almost like, I know exactly what you're going to do. I'm going to go and take the ball off here. So I think when you look at the cost of the money, I mentioned to you earlier this week that this is a deal that is strange for a couple of reasons. Brentford bid 30 million for Brennan Johnson.
Yeah.
And Nottingham Forest were interested. But obviously they had this financial fair play challenge. But they got wind that Tottenham were interested. So they turned down the Brentford deal. And 3 weeks later, they agree a deal with Tottenham for 47.5 plus add-ons, which totals 50 million. So this is the part that I don't understand. How does Daniel Levy, who is renowned for being very conservative in the purse strings, how does he see Brentford bid 30 million and say, do you know what? I'm going to bid 47.5 and get Brennan Johnson. It's the one signing that you don't want him to pay over the odds for. When you look at the Sadio Mane that he wouldn't pay 5 million to get. If you look at Grealish, if you look at all the deals, Aguero, he wouldn't pay Aguero's image rights, which totaled about 3 million. And then Man City get wind of it and he turns up at Man City 6 months later. So if you look at the history of Daniel Levy, the moment the money goes slightly above the comfort zone, he walks away. But for some unbeknown reason, he bids £20 million more for Brendan Johnson. I explain. I don't get it. I just don't get the deal.
I can't. And do you know what else? When you buy a player from another Premier League club, you can't have like this long payment structure either. You have to pay, I think it's 70 or 70% of the money, the total value up front. So if Brennan cost 50 million, we would have had to have paid maybe 35 million up front, and then the rest is installments. That's a rule within the English league to protect clubs from not getting their money. That's why quite often you see, when Arsenal were looking at Zaha, but ended up buying Nicolas Pepe. It's because they could pay Pepe over 5 years, whereas Zaha, if he was 70 million, they'd have to put up 55 million up front. I'm sure that's how it works. I don't know if the rules changed on that, but that makes it even more weird as to why we would have done this. Because
I just don't. Yeah, go on.
It costs more up front. It's more money up front. It's the payment structure doesn't work in our favour. It works in the favour of Nottingham Forest.
I would love to be a fly on the wall in those negotiations where Brentford bid 30 million. Who advised Levy, or did Levy off his own back say, do you know what, guys? I'm going to be £20 million more to get Brennan Johnson. How does that happen? So in a nutshell, he has been poor this season. And I like Brennan Johnson. I liked him at Nottingham Forest. I liked him.
Did you just say that? Because you've been quite protective of him this season.
Yeah. I like Brennan Johnson. I do like Brennan Johnson, but he has been.
What do you like about him, Matt? What do you like about him? Like, what's he do? Honestly, what does he offer us?
I think
we were used to Gareth Bales, Aaron Lennon's, Chris Waddles. We were used to maybe even a Darren Anderton. He was out wide. We were used to quite
Ginola.
Oh my God, Ginola. We were used to some half decent wingers, some wide players. When Son came, he was a wide player. How are we now looking at Brennan Johnson and saying, yeah, give it time, yeah? I don't get it. I feel lost. I feel quite lonely.
Yeah, it's just a strange deal for me. It's a strange deal, as I say. You know, it wasn't Chelsea. It wasn't, like Mudryk, where Arsenal were close to Mudryk and then Chelsea go, right, we need to outbid Arsenal, and then the deal ends up being 75 million. And you go, okay, I can see that. That's 2 top 6 clubs trying to bid for the same player, and then they end up spending a little bit more just to get him. You say, I get that. But when our competition was Brentford, I don't understand how and when does Levy say £20 million more? How does that happen? I'm confused. I'm confused with that. But when he was at Nottingham Forest, he was direct, he was exciting, he was quick, he was tenacious at Nottingham Forest, but he hasn't showed any of that at Tottenham, any of it at all.
He was playing a different position at Forest, though. He was more of a forward attacker. He wasn't wide of a 3, so his position has been changed as well. I actually don't think this position suits him, unless there's lots of space for him to run into. But once in a while, he does whip in a good cross. Once in a while, and he does.
He's direct, though. He's a direct footballer,
but he doesn't have skill. He doesn't have skill.
Well, this tippy-tappy football that we play is not. It's not his ideal brand of football. He would be better at teams like Newcastle, where they don't dominate possession and the team are in your final third and you pick their pocket and Anthony Gordon or Brennan Johnson have got 30, 40 yards to run into. That's his style of football. Where we are, majority of the time, got the ball more than the other team, and the team are a little bit, I'm not saying a lower block, but they're a little bit in their own half. He doesn't have so much grass to run into. So to beat his man, he's got to beat his man with trickery and skill. And that's not one of his fortes. His fortes is, we've run the ball, I'm going to run 30 yards, and I'm going to fizz things across goal or get a shot off. That's where he was exciting. But we haven't had much of that this season. But he'll get a second season, because one thing we know about Levy, when he spends a certain amount of money, he doesn't give up on them easy.
That could be a problem if Ange doesn't want him, but we'll see. I think Ange probably does want him. All right. After the game, press conference, and of course, Ange wasn't too happy. Foundations are fragile. The last 48 hours have shown me that it's inside the club, outside the club, everywhere. And then all the Conte comments, the Mourinho comments surfaced. Mido, ex-Spurs player, even weighed in, saying the club don't win trophies, the owners only care about money, yada, yada, yada. And it was hard to say what Ange meant, although he did a press conference today. And I'll read to you what he said. The key bit was that he misunderstood the situation. He read it wrong. So he admitted, I read it wrong. I didn't really understand where the fans were coming from. So in some ways, that's quite a positive thing, because he's self-aware enough to say, do you know what? I do relate to fans, and now I get it. I just didn't think you were like that. Well, I did tweet as well saying, Ange, you will learn. You're going to get to know. There's certain things you can't go against fans. There's certain things fans draw a line, and that's one of them. Our hate for Arsenal and our hate for Chelsea it's non-negotiable, and they're the same with us. So he did admit that today. He also said that in fact, let me read it. It's easy if I read it. He admitted that Tuesday night's game against City was the worst experience he's ever had as a football manager. That's not good. He realised that he got it wrong and fans were actually rooting for City. He had an anxiety that if Spurs took a hiding, that his integrity would be questioned. The one thing I'd say about that is, well, what you worried about your integrity when we got spanked 4-0 at Newcastle and we were down 4-0 at Brighton and we lost to Wolves twice. So that's a little bit of a... Maybe he saw the reaction of previous losses on social media and he really feared this one. That's possible. And his words, and I quote, "I got real anxiety within me that if we played as well as we can and City beat us 5-0, I'd hate to think what some people would have questioned me as to how I prepared the team." Matt, in the cold light of day, what's happened's happened. It's now past us. I think it's all been put to bed. Ange has done the press conference. He didn't hide away from the questions. He did say that I got it wrong with the fans. He has admitted that he was anxious about this game, about being called out and questioned, which means that the recent questioning of him has got to him, because why would you say that? And I do think that when he talks about the mentality of the club, I've been coaching for 12 years. One game does not change mentality. I'll tell you that now. If you want to fix something and you want to build on it, you need momentum, which means back-to-back results or performances. Momentum then creates confidence. And from confidence, you can begin to try and break through barriers that have held you back before. And that's where the mentality shift comes from. One game, with only one game to go after it before the season ends, does not fix mentality. That is an absolute false dawn. And what I would say as well, if he really wants to fix the mentality, and tell me if you agree with this, Matt, he needs to speak to Daniel Levy, because whether you're Levy in or Levy out, these are facts. 17 managers, 7 football directors, sacking a manager before a cup final, selling our best players, selling Kane with no replacement, which put Ange in the shit. Record income and revenue, 8th richest club in the world, £3 million bonus for the chairman after the worst season ever last season, 1 trophy in 24 years. This is our culture. This is where the mentality comes from. Surely he needs to sit down with the chairman, Matt, and say, there's a mentality issue at this club, and a lot of this you can't put on the fans and you can't put it on me. It's the way you've been running the ship. Do you agree with that? What do you make of Ange's comments? Do you think now this is behind us? Because I think this is behind us, but his frustrations are not with us, the fans. His frustrations are with what's been manifesting for 25 years under the ownership. And I'm not making this a Levy out. I'm just stating the facts and what we've been through as a fan base for 3 decades now.
I think it's a combination, Stel. I think he doesn't like losing football matches. I think the question of his integrity would have irked him. Yeah. So he had that on his lap before the game. The slight hint in the press conferences before the game that, do you understand what this might mean? He didn't sense the room. He didn't feel the room. He didn't gauge the temperature in the room. Okay. Also, on top of that, I think he realizes that for whatever reason, some of his coaching team have had a few, might be in the canteen or wherever, they've made a few jokes about, I think we should play the youth team in this game. And either he's heard it directly or he's heard it secondhand. So he's now started to think, this is filtered through the corridors here. This isn't just, the guys on a laptop just kind of, saying this is a disgrace if we win this match. He's got this in his team, he's got this kind of this problem around him. So I think all of that has been festering this week. Yeah. So you imagine, Stal, you're a coach. You imagine if you're giving out instructions and then you hear one of the guys putting the cones out, he's going, that Stal don't know what he's talking about. He's questioning your ability or your authority. So you've got the ump, haven't you? You know, you're thinking, hang on a minute, do as I say. So I think all that was on top of him. And then obviously it's played out in real life. So he's actually watching this game slip away. He's got a guy who's obviously giving him a couple of F's and Jeffs and whatever else behind the stand, and he can hear that. And he's reacted. He's a human being. So I've got zero problem with what he said. He's a quick learner. I will borrow you his book, though. I will borrow you when I come to London. I will give you his book to read. Read his book. This is before. This is just read his book, and he
I've read up on his past.
Okay.
I've read up on his past. I've always been pretty transparent with this. I don't have an issue with Ange. I will always criticise decisions my manager makes. I'll always look at things and say, but you could have done that.
Course.
And he did it.
Of course.
He did it against Man City. We were saying this 2 months ago. My issue has always been quite simple. Unless the manager is prepared to tell the owner straight and direct, this is how it has to be, this is how we've got to roll, they're onto a hiding. They're not going to survive. That's always been my issue. And I've been proven right every single year. So if Ange has got an issue, and by the way, hats off to the man. He said, I got it wrong with the fans. Freaking hell, what more do we want from our manager? A manager that's saying to the fans, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. What more do we want? Okay. It gives me also peace of mind that I got it right. I got it right as a fan. But it's the board that needs to change. And I look at that last transfer window, Matt. He signed off on it. That transfer window was, I look at it, what's it done for us? That needs to change. If that changes, then maybe the manager's influenced it. Maybe the manager's now got through to them. Otherwise, that's where I'm at, Matt. That's where I'm at. Fans that say, Daniel Levy, he's made us a rich club, and they start whacking in the economics and the financials and the investment banking talk. He hasn't made us a rich club. He's made himself a rich person. Are you richer?
Off the back
I'm
of
not
it.
richer. Are you richer, Matt? I'm not richer.
I agree.
The only person
I agree
richer is
totally.
Daniel Levy, right? And
I
then when
agree
they say,
totally.
stadium, look at our stadium. Mate, Arsenal have a new stadium. Man United are about to build a new stadium. Leicester City are expanding their stadium. Liverpool are expanding their stadium. Just because we've got a new stadium. And by the way, it's all borrowed money. He's put us in a lot of debt. Oh, well done. Great. Thank you. I'm not thankful for these things. I'm not grateful for these things because I'm a football fan and I want to see my team compete at the highest level and actually challenge for honours. And I don't feel we do that. I don't believe we do. And we're the only Big Six club, that fails to be successful. I'm not one of these fans that says, hundreds of clubs, they all fail. So why should we think we should win? Well, then stop praising Levy for making us a Big Six club. On the one hand, the economists want to say we're a Big Six club, but they compare us to Bristol Rovers, Rochdale, Crystal Palace, all the clubs in the country. If we're a Big Six club, compare us to Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool. Compare us to the big clubs. When you do that, we're a failure. We're a complete failure. I don't compare us to what's below us. I compare us to who our real competition is if we're a Big Six club. So either we're a Big Six club, compare us to the Big Six, or stop calling us a Big Six club and compare us to everyone else. You can't have it both ways just to win some kind of investment banking argument. It's pathetic. This is where football people need to talk football and let the finance people just talk finance. I don't praise Levy for what he's done at Spurs because I'm not here for the stadium. I'm not here for the money. I'm here because my football club used to win cups. My football club used to win cups, Matt. They don't win anything now. The league title is a dream, but to not win an FA Cup, a League Cup, a cheeky Europa Cup, it's unacceptable.
Yeah, look, I think the The question or the accusation against Levy is that historically, when we've been close, when this squad is knocking on the door,
he pulls back.
He kind of says, "That'll do, that'll do, yeah, that'll do, yeah." He doesn't then say, "Gosh, I'm gonna go with this now. This wave is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. What do we need to now create this super wave?" He just kind of says, "Listen, what we've got we'll keep. What we've got we'll keep," and that stops us building on that momentum. So, to the people that are maybe questioning the people that say Levy out, I think the question I would ask you all to ask yourself is, when players like Trossard are available, and we are first in for them, how does that happen that we do not pay the necessary money to get Trossard, and then Arsenal, who weren't even in the discussions, and his agent has released a statement to concur this, in 48 hours, after a week of Tottenham saying, "We want you, but wait, we want you, but wait," Arsenal get wind of it, and in 48 hours is in an Arsenal shirt. Those are the questions I would ask you to ask yourself. So it's not bashing Levy, it's just giving yourself the question of, if we want to win, why aren't we getting the tools to make us competitive to win? I do agree that it doesn't guarantee success. I agree that. But there seems to be a regular concern that when it gets to February and March and it gets to the knockout stages of cup competitions, we fall flat on our face because we don't have the squad depth to compete on 1, 2, or 3 formats.
See, my point here is I'm linking it to what Ange said about, he questioned our mentality. He said we're fragile. That fragility comes from the top. They have created a fragile club. They have done this. So I think that's why he said
it's a fragile squad.
It's a fragile coaching team as well. But the fact he said I got it wrong with the fans is because either someone in the club's told him, "This is your last press conference, calm this down," and he's come out, media trained, gone in, said what needs to be said, or he's just admitted it that, you know what, I shouldn't be going after the fans when it comes to mentality. There's a reason you're like this. Why are you like this at this club? Because he said this is the worst experience I've ever had as a manager. Well, we as fans are having the worst experience as a top 6 club, Ange, as well. It's not just you. Our experience is shit. There's not one fan that went to that game on Tuesday and said, "You know what? I'm really fucking loving this. This is great." Who wanted to be in this situation where we're all divided? But again, this has been manifested for years. So I think if Ange really wants to change the mentality, Matt, if he genuinely wants to fix this club, he needs to have it out with the board. The way Conte tried to, but Conte's method was too explosive. He needs to approach the board and he needs to sit down with them, maybe with his coaching team, Lange, Paratici, everyone together, and properly have it out. We're not there yet. Matt, if he's not, then do you know what? Next season is going to be worse. Then next season it's going to be worse, Matt. Sorry, it is. Next season's going to be worse because if he hasn't, look, dude, if your wife cheats on you, what are you going to do? Wait until she cheats on you again? The first time she does it, we're having a chat. We're having a conversation. If your child steals or they get involved in some nonsense with a local gang, you're going to wait for them to murder someone? You're going to wait for them to steal more and get arrested by the police? No. Sit down, shut it down. Let's have an honest conversation as to why being part of a gang is bad, why stealing is wrong, why this can't continue at Spurs anymore. Like, you can't. How can you say, Matt, we're not there yet? Now is the time. Now. Everyone, the fan base are ready for it. The coaches must be ready for it. Ange has clearly seen it, so he's ready for it. There's no
what I
time
mean, though,
better than
Stal,
present.
what I mean, though, Stal, is when I say we're not there yet, I'm on about we're not there as in a total winning squad. We don't have a total winning squad. So those final pieces of the jigsaw, we're not there yet. That's what I meant. I think he needs
But
to.
Matt, I'm talking about fixing the mentality, right? To fix
Oh yeah,
the mentality,
yeah,
that's the topic we're on. To fix the mentality, he has to have that chat with the board. He must. And Lange, Paratici, Scott Munn, his number one and number two that are by him, coaches, they all need to sit in a room. Everyone put your cards on the table. Let's have an honest chat. Do we all want to fix this club from a footballing perspective? If the answer is yes, what's it going to take from the finance team, from the chairman, from the manager, from the coach?
Buy better players. Buy better players.
Yeah, but that chat, Matt, has to happen as a collective because the scouts and the football director need to go and source them. The chairman has to sanction that we're going to sign 3 or 4 top players, not try and fill 8 gaps in one go, which never works because you end up bringing in Deadwood. The manager needs to find some element of compromise as well in this. He can't just have it all his way. But unless that happens, Matt, there's no mentality change. We'll be back here next year having the same chat. Oh, we've come 6th. Oh, we only got to the quarterfinals of the Cup. Oh, that Europa League campaign was a disaster. This player's still crap. This player that we signed is useless. We have the same chat every single year, Matt. Every year, same conversation. If he doesn't have that conversation, all of them together, this mentality, there's no change.
But do you not think that an episode like this week is a great tool for Ange to say in the end of season board meeting or whatever else, these are the things that are causing me concern. Yeah. These are the things, and according to the insiders, is that not only playing personnel he wants to change, he wants to change some of the coaches as well. So
bye Ryan Mason, bye Janovic, bye Jadanak.
So what he's saying is not that I'm actually going to get rid of some of them. They're just going to have different roles and others will come in. So all I would ask, and look, we're all guessing, none of us will have the benefit of being in the room, but I would like, or I would hope that when the end of season review happens and the review of next season, just don't forget he said those discussions, those meetings have started months ago. So there's a recruitment team style that have already been working on some of these deals months ago. So I would like to think Ange has got a lot of ammunition to say to Levy, these are the problems at the football club. So I repeat, I think I'm optimistic because what's equally as important, I don't think many people are talking about, he wants to be here still. And I've always got the impression, barring Nuno, who was obviously a moment in time, I always felt with Jose and I always felt with Conte, they didn't truly want to be here. They were doing us a favour.
I think I disagree. I think Mourinho wanted to be here. I think he did. But the fans didn't want him here. From day one, fans didn't want him here. He was never made to feel welcome when he came. He says it as well. He says the only club I've never had a connection with is Spurs. And it's because from day one, half of our fan base didn't want him.
There was lockdown as well. Lockdown was in there as well.
That played a part in it.
I just got the impression with Jose and Conte, it was like, do you know who I am? Do you know what I mean? I'm doing you guys a favour here. Whereas Ange seems like he genuinely wants to be here. So there's a massive start still. And he's going to be able to sit down at the end of the season and say, this is not so good. This is what I want going forward. Every other time, still, someone's been jettisoned in and you got to learn on the job. Conte joined halfway through the season. Jose joined in November. This guy will be able to sit down in the summer and go, right, this can't happen again. I cannot allow this to happen again. I cannot have Ben Davies as a backup for Udogie. It can't happen. I can't have Emerson Royale. Did you hear his comment about Dragerson? Did you hear at the end of the game, that says, what did you think about Dragerson's performance? And he said, yeah, he was good. Yeah, he did well. It's fair to say if we had him here at the start of the season, we wouldn't have had some of these problems. So he's dropping these little hints to say, I need to go into next season with more of the players that I need to start the season.
There's a game this weekend, Matt. Spurs, Sheffield United. Believe it or not, there is some football going on.
That game worries me, by the way.
Oh, don't start. Don't you start. Stop it.
That game worries me still.
Well, look.
It's Sheffield United versus Spurs, by the way.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I've got it the wrong way around. Beg your pardon, everyone. You know what I mean. Look, league table as it stands, although Chelsea, in fact, this isn't the league table. Chelsea are 3 points behind us. They've got a better goal difference. So it's pretty straightforward. In fact, let me get up the league table because the goal difference is going to be quite important on this. Let's get up the league table quickly. But the big issue here is that we could end up in the Conference League. And that's the worry. And it does take a lot of things to fall into place for that to happen. But we want to avoid it. So if we look at the league table, we are currently 5th. Chelsea is 6th. Now, the lowest we can finish is 6th. Chelsea, 3 points behind us. They've got 3 goals better than us. So if we lose and Chelsea win, they get 5th, we get 6th, which will be quite embarrassing, considering how Chelsea were this season. If we draw, it's done. We get 5th place. If we win, again, it's done. So we can't lose. If we lose, we go 6th as long as Chelsea win. But if Man United beat Man City in the cup final, anything's possible, doubtful, but possible, then Man United get the Europa Cup spot and we end up in the Conference League. Now, that will be an absolute disaster. So, really, to avoid the ultimate Spursy outcome, because you know what's going to happen if we end up in the Conference League. Ha, ha, ha. You didn't want to beat Man City. Look what happens. Karma. It's all going to kick off. Matt, there's no way. Come on, mate. We're not going to end up losing to Sheffield United. Worst case scenario draw. Look at Sheffield United, Matt. They're rock bottom. Minus 66 goal difference. They've conceded 101 goals. They've only scored 35, 16 points. They are an absolute mess. There's no chance, Matt, we lose to them. Come on. What are you worried about?
We can't score still. Who's going to score?
Well, hold on. Against the bottom teams, we do score. Actually, that's when Brennan Johnson's half decent. Son, he scores. I'm sure our defenders can score goals. They tend to pop up with goals against the lesser teams. So I'm not worried about scoring goals, Matt. Against Sheffield United. Matt, they've conceded 101 goals. What are you worried about? Come on.
That game worries me still. That game worries me.
Yeah, but why? It's bloody Sheffield United.
It's what we do still. It's what we do. Newcastle away. Newcastle away.
Come on, Newcastle, they're not a bad side.
Hang on. Newcastle away, already relegated. Rafa Benitez has already said he's not staying on. How'd we get on?
Matt, it's Sheffield United. I'm not worried, man. Like, come on. Worst case, disaster. Everything goes badly wrong. We draw. We still get 5th place. I think we win this. I think, yeah. Look, 2-0, something like that makes about sense to me. I agree. Do you think we're going to lose, Matt? Honestly, you really think we're going to lose? I don't believe this. Matt, do you think we're really going to lose? Like, honestly.
Still, it's what we do. It's what we do. It's what we do.
We're not doing this. It's not. We're not coming. We're not losing to Sheffield United.
Nothing would delight me more with a convincing Norwich away 4-0 or 5-0 when we had Harry Kane and Son in flames. We're not the same team still. The game worries me. That's all I'm going to say. That game, it's got Spurs written
Matt,
over it.
Look. Burnley beat them 4-1 at their ground. We are not losing to freaking Sheffield United. It's not happening.
Still, I hope to God you are right. But still, I've been following Spurs for...
This is the team bottom of the league.
I understand. Matt, I understand that.
101 goals conceded. That is 30... No, that's 25 goals worse than Burnley. 25 goals worse.
Okay. So, listen, I promise you, you know me, I've always normally said, yeah, I fancy us, blah, 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 blah. I didn't fancy us Newcastle away. We got thumped 4. This worries me. Honestly,
Matt,
this game
worries me. Let me ask you this.
Worries me.
All right. If we play the way we did against Man City, are we losing?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No, I agree. But still, we can't score. They'll play a low block. They're relegated. They're at home. We've had this Jerry Springer circus for the last week. Wouldn't it be Spurs to toss this game off? Wouldn't that be Spurs?
If we don't beat Sheffield United, Matt, I'll tell you what, there's going to be some problems with the fans and Ange. I'll tell you now. There's going to be a lot of problems with it. If we allow Chelsea to finish above us, I tell you there are sections of this fan base that will turn. I can tell.
Who's scoring? Who's scoring? Give me your scorers.
Van de Ven, Porro, Romero. They've got goals in them. They pop up with a header, a shot.
I hope you're right.
Powerful shot.
So I will phone you straight away. I hope you're right. But honestly, I've been following Spurs. It's the type of game. There's nothing on it. There's nothing on it.
Do you know what? I get called. I get accused of being negative. I just think I'm real. I say it as I see it, right? I'm saying we're going to beat Sheffield United. I'm confident about it. I don't believe we'll lose to them. And now you're putting this on me. I can't believe. I don't know what to say. I'm speechless.
So, honestly, listen, I hope we just go in there with 2-0 up after 25 minutes and then it's soccer in Rio. It's the boys from Brazil. I'm hoping that's what happens. But still, who's scoring? Who's scoring for Tottenham?
I just told you. Van de Ven's got a goal in him. Romero's got a goal in him. Porro's got a goal in him. Son's got a goal in him. Maddison's due one. How is this even a conversation? This is ridiculous. This is like 101 goals they've conceded, and Tottenham come along and they can't put one past Sheffield. Are you kidding me, Matt?
I agree.
I hope we batter them 4-0, and then I'm going to call up and say, Matt, you need a holiday. Take a break.
Listen.
Book yourself a nice holiday, a nice beach, get yourself out there, pina colada, sangria, put your feet up, and just chill. Clear your mind and come back. Because that Sheffield United prediction was head's gone. Head's gone if you think we can't beat Sheffield United.
We're not informed still. Yes, the Man City we played well.
I can't believe it. You actually believe it. You actually think this. This is crazy. Oh my God. No, I can't do this, chat. We're changing subject. I can't do it. I can't do this, chat. I can't do it. I can't do
Keep
this.
your phone on. Keep your phone on Sunday, Stel.
It'll be on. I'm doing the late night show. In fact, guys, make sure this weekend you tune in to Tottenham Away, because we will be doing the Sheffield United versus Spurs late night show on Sunday, where I will be clipping Matt Coppin and his fraudulent predictions. I'll tell you now.
Stel, honestly, it just worries me. That game worries me. It really does.
Look, Matt is usually so positive. Come on, Matt. Dragusin's improved the defence. Matt has to wear an Arsenal shirt if we lose. That's a bit harsh. Jason, that's a little bit harsh.
No, I can't do that.
That's a bit harsh. All right, listen. It's Levy's Tottenham. You never know. You know how it ends. Tom, don't you start. By the way, big up to Tom. Had a good pint of beer with him the other day in the pub after the Burnley game. All right, guys, what we're going to do to wrap up the last half an hour of the show, we're going to take some questions from... In fact, let's do match predictions. I'm going 2-0 Spurs against Sheffield United. Matt, what are you going for? Oh, my God.
I'm going with a 2-1 Sheffield United.
Oh, stop it. End the stream. End the stream. 2-1. 2-1 to Sheffield United. They don't even score goals, and you've given them two.
So, we've had a Jerry Springer week. We've had the Ange. We've had people questioning our professionalism. We've got Chelsea hovering in the wings. Come on, Stel. How long have you been supporting Spurs?
2-1 Sheffield United. They're going to score 2 against us. This lot. They've conceded How many have they scored?
I agree.
Matt, they've scored 35 goals a year. They're the worst. And they're going to score 2 against us. Do you know, for them, they don't even average 1 goal a game, right? They don't even score 1 goal a game on average. They're below 1. And they're going to score 2 against us.
We can't score, Stel. Who's scoring our goals?
Guys, we're going to your questions. Taking questions. All right. I'm going to the question. I can't do it. All right. The first question comes from Trung Doan. He says, given skepticism that even if backed, Ange's system could succeed, does the Man City performance give you hope that with better attacking players, better finishing than Tottenham could succeed under Ange? Just to make it clear, if Ange is backed, I think his system can succeed. My skepticism is whether he'll be backed and whether he will adapt when need be. So will he adapt if need be? I don't know. Whether he be backed or not, that's not on Ange. That's on the board. Matt, I think you've pretty much explained if he's backed. You think he'll be great for us, right?
Yeah. Look, I think my theory is that we have dominated possession in nearly all our football matches. We average 60% possession at home, 60% possession away. With that possession, if we've got more attacking players who are very good in 1v1 duels, the great makers of chances and the great takers of chances, I think that possession can then be translated to goals. If we could get, we got 71 goals this season, which is 1 more than last season. If you put in, I can't think of a Jimenez, a Tony, a Mbemo from Brentford, you sprinkle those 3 players into this Tottenham squad, that's another 25, 30 goals.
Got another question from Daryl Denton. He says, we've lost 12 games. Let's be real. Could have been more. So why are fans claiming this season is great, amazing, and we're going in the right direction when all other metrics are saying the opposite? Why will one summer window fix it in some fans' eyes? Well, for me, Daryl, I started off this show by saying I haven't enjoyed this season. I don't think it's been a great season. I don't think one window will fix it, but I think one window can get us back into Champions League and put us on a decent cup run. Do I think one window can help us lift the trophy? I don't think so. But I definitely think we can improve on this season. Good cup run and top 4 if we have a good summer window. That's what I think. Because playing 2 games a week changes everything. So I think we can definitely improve with a good summer window. I don't know if it will make us compete for anything just yet. Matt, do you think one summer window can change everything, or do we need more than that?
We definitely need more than that. There's a lot of gaps. There's a lot of weaknesses in the squad. But I think, as I say, if we get 2 out of the 3, if we get Jimenez and Mbeumo, if we get Tony and I can't think of another wide player, but if we were to get 2 out of those 3 and they repeat their goals and assists, that's 30 goals, 35 goals between them. Just put that onto our... I've stressed you before. Timo Werner, Brennan Johnson, if you take them 2 team players out of our 11 and improve those 2 attacking players, that's double figures in goals. Put those double figure goals to what we've got already. Maybe a couple of those 2-0 defeats are 3-2s. Some of those 1-0 defeats are 2-1s. Rafinha. There, someone's just put in the chat. Rafinha. So if you put Ivan Toney and Rafinha into this Tottenham 11, it upgrades dramatically what we've got at the moment.
That goes on to the next question, actually, from Enigma 6706, who says, can we talk about how we can build the team this summer with 4 solid signings to progress in the right direction? So if we were going to go for four solid signings, Matt, what are you thinking?
Palacios from Leverkusen. I would go for one of Tony or Jimenez. I'd keep Richarlison. Or if Saudi come in with 60 million, I'd get 2 strikers. But 4 players, Palacios, Jimenez or Tony, Mbeumo. And I would go for Robinson from Fulham. Do you know what I'd do as well? I would try Adoji further forward.
Dogi further forward. Do you know what? I don't like the 2 inverted fullbacks, if I'm honest with you. I don't think it works. I think there's certain games where it works, where teams aren't that great. See, for me, when a team isn't a good side, they're average, but they don't have really good outlets that can expose us with pace in behind and 1 good finisher or 2 good finishers, then the teams that don't have that in their counter-attacking arsenal, I would then invert both fullbacks because it just compacts the opposition's box and causes more problems. But teams that do have that outlet, I wouldn't invert both fullbacks. I'd hold one back. So I think that needs to change regardless next season of signings. But I'll definitely sign Jimenez. I think he's a good shout. But I'd play him... does he play as a striker or left and right forward?
Either. He can play.
Right.
He can play any of the front 3.
So I'd sign him as a versatile forward that can play away across the front 3. But I think we need an out-and-out proper striker to replace Kane and get rid of Richarlison. Who would I like to see? I quite like Vlahovic, but I don't think we're going to get him off Juventus. I think Isak would be great, but he's not going to leave Newcastle for us. So that's a tricky one as to who we get in, but we need an out-and-out striker who can get 20-plus goals a season.
Jimenez could play the number 9 role.
But then if you play him as a 9, then I'd get him...
Do you know who reminds me of a little bit? Berbatov.
Berbatov was different.
A poorer version. But what I'm saying is he's got that touch You know, he's got a lovely touch on his weight of pass. He's a clever footballer. Do you understand? You know, with Richarlison, it's a fight. You know, it's effort. He's before he tackles the player, he's tackling himself to control it. You know, it really looks at effort with Richarlison to get the ball under control. When the ball goes into Jimenez, you can tell in 2 seconds just his body shape. He understands the distances. He's just a clever footballer. So he's a poorer version of Berbatov. I think he would be very good. So I would look at, he's 22 years of age, Jimenez. I would look at Jimenez. I would keep Richarlison as a option, but if the Saudi rumour is true, if it's true, at 60 million, I'd get him out the door and I'd go and get another centre forward. And I can't think of somebody at the moment. But
if we sign Jimenez, if we sign Jimenez as a striker, then we need to get a wide player. I quite like Omar Mamouche, actually. He does look
very
quite
good player. Very good player.
He does look good. So look, someone like that, or if we get a Kvaratskhelia or a Rafinha, I'd be really excited by that. I think they're so one striker, one attacking winger. I would definitely go for a number 6/8, and the player I really like is Manu Kone at Mönchengladbach. I think he's bang on. He's just Moussa Dembele. I watch him play. It's like watching Moussa Dembele. I'd look to get him, and then I think we need cover at wing back. So I'm not really too fussed who we get. Doesn't have to be a big name. As long as they're at the Udogi Porro level, I'm pretty content with that. I quite like the young lad from Genoa. Is it Calafioredi, the wing back? Yeah, that seems okay for me. So yeah, that's where I would look to bolster the squad and try and bring through one or two young players. I'm just looking for questions that we can quickly answer and not spend a long time over. Okay, if Ange only takes 10 to 15 points in his first 10 games next season, do you think he will last to December? Levy was ruthless with Conte, Jose, and even with Poch, who took us to a Champions League final. Matt, do you think Ange is going to be under pressure to get off to a half-decent start next season?
Yeah, I think so. I think the media will certainly be watching him. And I think it's going to be a combination of results and performances. So we need to get results, but I think the performances need to be pretty close to the results. If we get off to a bad start, then the media circus will come after him, and then Levy's never backwards in coming forward.
But if this project is going to work, he's got to ride the rough times, Levy. Otherwise, it's a waste. And that's kind of what Alex Box Office was saying. I want to see what they do when the pressure's on and when it's not working, because then you know to believe in the project because they're sticking with their man. Double D says, any talent in the under-21s? I went to the under-21s cup final last night, and I'll tell you now, I was so underwhelmed. We were awful. They're better than what I saw. I've got to say, Fulham were good. They've got one guy up front, Osmond. I think he scored a hat-trick. He was a good player.
Who played up front for us?
Lancashire.
How do you do?
Nah.
No.
He had one really good chance where he went in on goal. He just missed the target completely. Scuffed it. There was not one player on the pitch that impressed me. Not one. The only one that looked that he had something about him, but even then, no end product, was Tyrese Hall. Donnelly's... Listen, I've seen Donnelly. He's better than what I've seen from that game. Dorrington's better than what I saw last night. Do you know what it is? I think we had more kids younger in the under-21s, whereas I think Fulham had more kids closer to 21. Because what it looked to me like it was under-21s versus under-18s. That's how it looked. But even the way we played, it was fullbacks pushed up high, getting caught, and we got caught twice. Very similar to watching the first team. No creativity across the top. It was literally like watching the first team, but with younger players. Very frustrating. There was nobody there in my opinion, I would put into our first team. Not one. Not one player, Matt. I'm being honest. Not one. Nobody stood out for me.
The question when we had that injury crisis, maybe that's answered that question then. Why didn't Ange go into the under-21s? Maybe nobody was ready.
They're not good enough. They're not good enough. Even Santiago wasn't that good last night. And I like Santiago.
Or just ready.
Yeah, one of the two. But, yeah, I get why Emerson and Skip start. I totally get it. They're crap, but the under-21s will just get chewed apart. Fulham were toying with us, bro. Like, honestly, our goalie made 3 or 4 really good saves as well. Could have been a lot worse. We were 3-0 down in like 30, 40 minutes. It's just... It's such a shame because the stand they opened up was packed. It was packed. It was a good little atmosphere there. But in the end, I came out of it thinking, what a waste of my time. So it is what it is. Just to answer your question, who was it that answered the question? I can't remember. Someone asked the question.
Double D.
Double D. Another question here. Sorry, some of the questions are the same as the other ones. If Sheffield United beat us, will the protest come back? No, because the season's ended. That's the honest truth. Spurs fans claim that Levy puts profit before glory, but they themselves, this is from NAWHL, but they themselves put avoiding getting battered by Arsenal fans before glory. Should Spurs fans criticise the club for not having a winning mentality when they have themselves... Sorry. Should Spurs fans criticise the club for not having a winning mentality when they themselves do not have it? So I've answered this already. If I'm going to be judged on 0.01% of the games in my entire Spurs life that I've wanted us to lose, which is this only game, and you're just going to completely dismiss the 99.99% of games over 45 years where I've always backed Spurs, I've always supported us to win, regardless of manager, player on the pitch, I've wanted us to win. If that means nothing and you judge me on this one game, then I think it's a very uneducated position that you're taking. And I think you're just being bitter that your view wasn't the one that prevailed on the day. That's my true, honest opinion. You're just being a little bit salty that you never kind of got what you want because you had a different view to me. And you're just completely dismissing 45 years of my support for the club because I was put in this one horrible position as a fan and I just chose, do you know what? This once in a million moment, I don't want to win. If that's how you judge someone like me, then I think it's an uneducated position to take. And it's very dismissive of everything else that I've done as a supporter. That's my answer. I don't know how you think about it, Matt.
I said earlier, I think everybody's got their right to have their point of view. And I think it should be respected. Even if you don't agree with it, it should be respected. Because we're all Spurs fans. You know, I can remember some Spurs fans wanting a certain manager to be sacked, i.e. Pochettino. Did that mean that you wanted Tottenham to lose that football match, which would then mean that Pochettino would be sacked? You know? So I think I respect everybody's views on it and I understand everybody's views on it. For me, it's done. It needs to be filed and we need to become more united in our support and energy to get Spurs closer to challenging for trophies. I would just move on from it. For me, it's happened. Let's support Spurs to beat Sheffield United on Sunday.
After you predicted a 2-1 loss.
I did do fingers crossed. I did fingers crossed.
Oh, this is, you know, this club is, there's no club like us. I'm convinced there's no club like us. AU's with a super chat.
Wouldn't it be the most Spursiest thing though for us to lose? Wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be the most
Yeah, it would.
Spursiest thing?
Yeah, it would.
It would be. Still, if you
Can I say,
go on.
Matt, I would still rather get bantered and humiliated from Chelsea fans that finished above us than have Arsenal fans drum it down my neck that they won the league because of us. If you get those two scenarios, I'm still taking where we are. A user, big up for the super chat. He says, I can't believe the amount of YouTube channels that have stood up since the Man City game from Spurs supporters, slating other Spurs supporters. A user, let me tell you this, okay? I did a video the other day defending my position after I was called out by another YouTuber. You know who I'm talking about. And in that video, I said something about the YouTube community as a whole. I stick to what I say. I don't like the YouTube community. I don't like the podcast community. What I mean by community, I mean the people that produce the content, guests on the content, creators, shows, and some of the podcasters out there. There's a small percentage I like because I honestly think they're sincere. It comes from the heart. They don't get led by anyone. They make up their own opinions. They have their own independent critical thinking. But for me, the majority of the YouTube community, especially what I see behind the scenes, I think it's full of backstabbing, lies, manipulation. I think the gossiping is horrendous. I've left all WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups, even the one that I created. I left my own group. Honestly, I'm not even part of the Tottenham Way YouTube group. I left it. And I find that this playground behavior of, I can't do a show with you because you're friends with Bobby. I can't be your friend because Maria said to me she won't speak to me, is the biggest load of pathetic playground bollocks ever. And it stinks. I don't want to be a part of it. I will gladly go to Spurs on a match day, not having to speak to any of the content creators except for a handful. And I'm so happy, man. I'm genuinely happy with it because I'd rather surround myself with people that I like, that I trust, that I know come from a really good place. And it's not all about egos and lies and this. I can't be your friend because he said this and you did that. And she said, I haven't got time for it, man. I've never, ever told a content creator, Matt, ever, you can't be friends with that person or I won't work with you. I've never, ever done that. Even with people I don't like, I've never done that. Yet it happens so much. And so, a user, you say you can't believe it. I 100% believe it. I'm not surprised that Spurs supporters are telling us Spurs supporters because it's where we are as a club, sadly. It's part of the division that we've had for about 2 decades now under the ownership. It's the way it's gone. Levy in, Levy out, Brennan Johnson in, Brennan Johnson out. New stadium good, new stadium bad. FFP yay, FFP nay. We don't agree on anything other than we hate Arsenal. But even then, that divided us. Because the Man City game even split us on how we feel about Arsenal. Imagine that. Oh, how we got to that stage.
There's one thing still I think everybody would agree on. Nuno was the wrong manager for Tottenham.
Yeah. But he was the 7th choice manager as well, though, to be fair to him. He was literally a sitting duck. The day he got the job, the day he did that choreographed, scripted video, we're going to make you proud. We're going to make we proud. He said, we're going to make we proud. We're going to make we proud. I said, hold on a minute. Who's written this? This doesn't smell right. he even looked away from the camera. He's like, we're going to make you proud.
Yeah. Atrocious.
I felt sorry for him. The poor bloke. He didn't stand a chance, Matt.
Is that 2 minutes to 2 girl that you take home at the end of the night, you know, when everybody else is kind of, do you know what I mean? The 2 minutes to 2 girl.
Depends how much you've drunk. It might be the 2 minutes to 2 man, or it might be the two minutes to 2 donkey or goat. Depends how much you drink. Some people, I've heard some rugby stories. There was a question here, actually. I wanted to... Oh, here we go. From Richard Knight. Do you think if Arsenal win the league title, it would wake up our fan base and demand more from the board? I think this goes 2 ways. I think it either wakes... I think this divides the fans. I think half the fan base will be like, right, enough's enough, and demand more. The other half will say, Look what happens if you're patient. It took them 5 years. Give Ange 5 years, and then we can be there. So I think it splits us into two trains of thought.
No, I don't think it would be a wake-up call, in my opinion. I think there'd be a lot of hate. I think there would even be more, division and bickering. So no, I don't think any good would come out of an Arsenal title win. Never let that happen again.
Do you know there's Arsenal fans that say to me that you best hope we win the league, as in Arsenal win the league, because it will force Levy's hands. And I say to them, do you still not understand Levy? I don't comprehend where you get this analogy from. You always say to me as an Arsenal fan that our problem is Levy, but now you're saying to me Levy would change because you've won a major honour. You won 4 FA Cups when you were shit. What changed at Spurs? Nothing. I don't know. I think I kind of lean more with what you said now, Matt.
No, I don't. I think, look, we'd still be signing the Stambolis, the Atubas. We'd still be bringing in those players regardless.
What's your favourite Tottenham team ever? Mine was the 1987 team that was challenging for 3 trophies. In fact, this is the kit. 1987, this is the kit. It was challenging for 3 trophies and 1 none. Well, that sums us up. Your favourite team, Matt?
Wow. Wow, that is a question. Yeah, the 87, Clive Allen, 5 in midfield, Waddle on the right, Huddle, Ozzy Ardiles, Chris. Yeah, I think that 87 team was formidable. I liked the 91 team with Gascoigne, Paul Stewart, and I liked the Pochettino team 2016. But I'd say the 87, that FA Cup final team, which we sadly lost to Coventry, would be my favourite Spurs team.
My favourite Spurs team. Do you know, I think that team that went unbeaten at White Hart Lane the last season before we knocked it down.
Good team.
There's a group of old boys that I sit next to at Spurs, and they're quite a good crack. And they live now in South London in Sutton. They weren't originally from there, but they live kind of that neck of the woods. And when I chat to them about the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, and they tell me their stories and what it was like, they all say to me, no matter how good the 80s were, the Hoddle, Waddle, Ardiles, Ricky Villa, Perryman era, the trophies, the winning the UEFA Cup and all that stuff, they all say to me, the football they saw under Poch is the best football they've seen as a Spurs fan. It was just the best football they've watched. They really believed they were going to win every game, and they feared nobody, and the football was just top stuff. So that kind of reconfirms how I feel. That for me, I thought the football under Poch, when we peaked Poch, I thought it was top. Some of the football we played was brilliant. Ericsson was amazing. Dele Alli was the hottest property in youth football. Kane and Son. I mean, Dembele, Wanyama. I mean, our defenders. Hugo in his prime. I think that peak Poch team was the one. See, the last season at White Hart Lane, that team was the real deal. Should have won something. Criminal.
We had
absolute
we
criminal.
had Son and Nasser Chadli that were kind of like 11th, 12th man, and Chadli used to pop up with a couple of important goals. We just lacked that defensive cover, and I think Toby done his hamstring. He had a He had a grade 2 or grade 3 hamstring tear the 1 year, and he never quite got back to that agility that he had before. We had Kevin Wimmer as the backup to, and he just wasn't quite at the level. So that was our Achilles heel, that we never quite had the depth in that 2015-16, that peak patch. That's the time when if we'd have brought in, you know, a couple of match winners, game changers off the bench, you know, instead of it being like Kyle Norton, or, you know, we didn't have those clutch players to come off the bench. And the famous semi-final with Chelsea where it's level pegging and then they bring on Hazard and Costa, and the game goes away from us and we lose 2-0 or 2-3-1 or whatever it was. We just didn't have the depth.
There's some fans saying the 60-61 squad. I can't speak on that because I wasn't alive. I'm sure it was the best team we've ever had. I'm sure from what I've read and what I've seen on YouTube, yeah, it must be. But maybe even the 50-51 squad. But I can only talk by what I've seen. And from what I've seen, the memories of the 80s are far better. But in terms of football, the best team I've seen, I thought Poch's starting 11. Yeah, that was the business. We just got let down not having a squad. Guys, we're going to wrap it up there. We're going to leave it. We'll be back next week. Matt and I will do some kind of review of everything and talk about what we think is going to happen next and whatnot. We've got a show coming on Sunday evening about the post-match analysis and reaction to the Sheffield United versus Spurs game. You can come and check us out. I think it's at 9:30 or 10 p.m. Make sure you tune in. It'll be our last late night show of the season until the next season begins. We'll have our Monday podcast, which is going to be, and it's all over, folks. Myself, Mazli, Iggy, JP, Will, if he returns, Murray, we will discuss. And I'll be doing a show midweek from a coaching perspective, what I think of Ange this season, and I'll summarise it all. And then Matt and I will be back on Friday, so come check it out. Guys, thanks for watching as always. Please like, subscribe, smash the notification bell if you haven't already done it, the like button, you know where it is. Matt, thanks as always, my man.
No, thank you, Stal. Thank you for the invite.
And we will be back on the weekend. Guys, have a nice weekend. Enjoy the weather if it's sunny. And we're out of here. Peace.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.